Have you ever wanted to touch the stars? This spacecraft museum can bring those dreams to reality. Here, we're talking about the famous Lucas Museum of Narrative Art, which was developed by none other than the renowned director and brains of the classic Star Wars franchise, George Lucas and his wife. It's not your typical museum. This 300,000 square foot structure above the ground is a next-level experience for art and science enthusiasts all around the world. In 2013, this $1 billion dream project made itself in the headlines, gaining massive media attention. In this video, we'll look at how this museum overcame substantial location challenges with unexpected twists and turns. And finally, how did it get to Los Angeles? Before diving into this magnificent artistic wonder, let us take a brief look at the journey of the noted Star Wars hero. Many years ago, a young Padawan filmmaker named George Lucas had a crazy vision for a space opera that nearly never made it to the big screen before the galactic powers struck back and Jedi's returned. After the box office smash of his film American Graffiti in 1973, Lucas vowed to continue his ambition of producing a space opera based on the adventures he enjoyed as a child. Rejecting the dark, dismal sci-fi of the period, Lucas intended to create a cheerful, youthful picture that would inspire children to pursue their fantasies of space exploration. After repeated rejections, Lucas and his co-worker, Gary Kurtz, got funds from 20th Century Fox to create their Star Wars story. Despite the difficulties of polishing the concept and creating characters such as Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, Lucas persevered and finished the 4th edition of the script in 1976. With a smaller budget from Fox, Lucas resumed production in Tunisia and delivered Star Wars in 1977. Well, the picture changed filmmaking with breakthroughs in special effects, fascinating storytelling, and a fantasy world, captivating viewers across the world. Despite initial criticism, Star Wars became a cultural sensation, generating over $513 million worldwide and establishing the foundation for a treasured franchise that serves to inspire fans across decades. The story doesn't end here though. Making an indelible mark on cinematic history, Lucas's idea of a remote exotic planet where imagination might soar has become a reality in the form of the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. Okay, now coming back to the real question, which is how this museum landed in Los Angeles. It is no surprise that the idea circulated from city to city, first Chicago, then San Francisco. The Lucas Museum concept in Chicago experienced numerous challenges, including legal and public opposition. However, it should be noted that the primary cause for rejection was the intended site. In 2014, Chicago secured the contest for hosting the museum, and the planned location was along the lakefront, near Soldier Field. The controversy began here, as the location was on public land near Lake Michigan. A group called Friends of the Parks filed a complaint, alleging that there were breached restrictions protecting public property. Not just the legal allegations, but the public opposed too, which resulted in a heated controversy about using the lakefront property for the museum. And here comes the withdrawal part. In 2016, after a lengthy court battle, Lucas abandoned the Chicago plan, exasperated by delays and continued opposition. After losing in Chicago, Lucas turned to his birthplace, San Francisco. There, he encountered a number of challenges. Let's take a look at these concerns one by one. First, the city recommends Treasure Island, a man-made island in San Francisco Bay, as the location for the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. The location raised numerous difficulties and questions, including how simple it would be for visitors to get to the museum on Treasure Island, and that leads to accessibility concerns, which is our second reason for rejecting the hometown for the museum. Last but not least, San Francisco's traffic congestion was considered a potential obstacle to museum visiting, which was the third reason for the rejection. Finally, after dealing with all of these difficulties, Lucas decided not to pursue his museum goal in San Francisco and left in 2017. And then came LA, who won the competition and helped Lucas achieve his museum milestone. After fixing flaws from the prior 2 attempts, LA successfully secured the museum project. There were multiple reasons for Lucas to go to LA, including the perfect location. LA provided a site in Exposition Park, which currently houses multiple museums and is near to downtown. Easy access. Unlike the San Francisco concept, this location didn't face any traffic congestion and was easily accessible via public transit. rich culture. Los Angeles, rich in cultural art, and at the heart of the film industry, provided the best space for a museum dedicated to narrative art. Fourth, and the most interesting part, was that the location was close to the Southern University of California, from where Lucas did his studies, providing it with a personal magical touch. The city provided tremendous support for the initiative, and that is how the billion-dollar project ended up in Los Angeles. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti stated that his city was the ideal place for making sure that it touches the widest possible audience. "We went after it with everything we have," he said. Now it's time to dig deeper and move toward the tour of this amazing Lucas Museum of Narrative Art, the extraordinary gigantic project by Beijing-based architect Ma Yansong encloses approximately 300,000 square feet, spanning a 3 to 5-story building perched atop an underground parking garage, all snuggled into 11 acres of green garden. It's not a project. This is not an initiative, museum director and CEO Sandra Jackson Dumont told visitors during a recent walkthrough. This is a 200-year-plus proposition. Mad architects designed the Lucas Museum so that it barely faintly touches the ground of Los Angeles Park at a few locations. A central archway extends 185 feet over a public plaza, forming a new entrance to Exposition Park and providing access to the museum's north and south galleries. Interestingly, Studio MLA's gardens will now act as a new access point to the park, with features such as an amphitheater, a hanging garden, and a pedestrian bridge. The museum is described as a growing portion of Exposition Park's tree canopy, with extra landscaping and a plaza in the center of the giant site. Moreover, it has a steel frame covered in 1,500 glass fiber strengthened polymer sheets, as well as a green roof equipped with solar panels. A circular oculus hovers 4 levels above the earth, providing a vista from the public square to the sky. Looking up, you may notice a futuristic bowling pin resting within 11 acres of green, but the human viewpoint on the new cultural center will be a breathtaking, bigger-than-life piece of organic architecture, which the museum deems an architectural work meant to withstand centuries. Once the museum is finished, this oculus will function as a major meeting place for you and the other visitors, as it penetrates all exhibition spaces on all levels of the structure. Well, the wait would be more difficult for the art lovers indeed. The museum advertises itself as the first to completely focus on image-based narrative, and it will have sculptures, paintings, murals, the field of photography, comic arts, and graphics. Lucas's diverse private collection includes everything from Norman Rockwell paintings to Alberto Vargas pinups to R. Crumb comics, and is widely believed to be valued at more than $600 million. Now, this is expensive. Additionally, the aim of providing a shaded green refuge is a key part of the overall concept. Because the space was formerly dominated by parking lots, it will be transformed into a walking landscaped gathering spot in the heart of the car-centric city, where you can enjoy your free time. Over 200 new trees have already been planted on the museum grounds, managed by landscape architect Mia Leher, with a focus on native and adaptive drought spaces. Overall, this renovation puts people before cars, creating a desperately needed green space in the neighborhood of South LA for you. As a resident of LA, you must be familiar with the earthquake situation as well. For that reason, the building is intended to withstand the earthquakes that frequently strike Los Angeles. The structure is really built like an enormous roller skate, director and CEO Sandra Jackson Dumont told Design Boom. With 42 inches of space on either side of the footprint, it is flexible enough to roll laterally in the case of an earthquake. This novel approach ensures its durability while also capturing the vitality of the city it calls home. This will be one of the safer spots for people to be in the city during an earthquake, she says. In addition to the main lobbies, the museum features numerous public areas. You'll find 2 cutting-edge theaters, each capable of seating 299 people. There is also a horseshoe-shaped library and study area with big windows that overlook the park, perhaps bringing some extra quiet and serenity to the experience. Furthermore, 10 specialized workshops and classrooms offer you the chance for artistic experimentation. Also, the lower floors feature a museum shop, a cafe, and a huge 10,000 square foot gallery. Interestingly, it'll be home to George Lucas's collection of 40,000 paintings, drawings, and memorabilia connected to movies and arts. that is surely a feast for Lucas and art fans. The north side of the building houses 5 public elevators. 3 of these elevators are particularly striking, cylindrical and totally made of glass, providing stunning views as they transfer you from the north lobby to the 4th floor galleries, which total 82,000 square feet. The 5th story has roughly 8,000 square feet of extra gallery space beneath its arch ceiling. Here, you'll also find a restaurant with indoor and outdoor seats, a huge event area, and an environment-friendly rooftop terrace with some spectacular views. What's happening in Los Angeles right now is incredible. Jackson DeMont, the director and the CEO of the Lucas Museum, emphasized the museum's importance to the city's development. So many parts of Los Angeles are expanding, all of the galleries are moving in, as are a large number of artists. The cultural scene has been growing. Normally, when people think of Los Angeles culture, they think of entertainment, but this is changing. LA is alive. When I think of LA's culture, I believe that many artists will be drawn to this city, and I hope that people will be engaged not only at Exposition Park, but also across the South Los Angeles community. The Lucas Museum and the City of Los Angeles have established a mutual goal of local hiring and expanding the pipeline, as well for subcontracting with women-owned businesses, minorities, and veterans as a major component of their construction program. Through community engagement, local unions, and other workforce development groups, the building project has hired over 4,200 people, more than 60% of whom live in Los Angeles. A $1 billion museum, created by famed director George Lucas, aims to be the world's first to focus solely on visual storytelling. The museum, mostly sponsored by Lucas and his wife, Melody Hobson, began construction in 2018 and was initially scheduled to open in 2023. That has now been pushed back due to supply chain concerns induced by the epidemic, which have made acquiring some construction materials impossible. Now, the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art, designed by Ma-Yan Song of MAD Architects and executive architect Michael Siegel of Stantec, will open in Los Angeles Exposition Park in 2025. The museum's expensive galleries will honor the craft of storytelling through images from comic art, paintings and illustrations to photography, filmmaking and drawings, with collection galleries, exposition spaces, and 2 theaters displaying unique pieces of art, technological innovation, and everyday screenings of movies. Its futuristic design would transform a succession of paved parking lots into an organic, streamlined form, resembling some of the spaceships seen in Star Wars creator George Lucas' most famous cinematic works. Sandra Jackson DeMont, the museum director and CEO, commented on the construction progress and the museum's content, saying, "It's humbling and engaging to see how all aspects of this new public resource are taking shape. We believe that narrative art can bring people together and help form a more just society. As a result, every aspect of this institution contributes to that concept. The site is one physical representation of it." The Lucas Museum is likely the most conspicuous of several major projects now underway at Exposition Park. Across Bill Robinson Lane, the Museum of Natural History's expansion is approaching completion, while the $400 million Samuel Oschin Air and Space Center is taking shape at the California Science Center to the east. They'll be joined by the $352 million addition of new green space along Figueroa Street and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, which park authorities announced earlier in the month of August. So, as we wrap up our epic tour of George Lucas's new $1 billion LA Art Museum, here's a quick question for you. What do you think about George Lucas's new $1 billion LA Art Museum? Do you believe it will be able to make a public appearance in 2025? What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please click the bell icon and subscribe to ensure you don't miss the next one. See you next time.